My name's Grace. I'm 74 years old. These days I find myself revisiting the words my mother used to whisper when I was a little girl, words that have taken on a deeper meaning now that my hair has turned silver. She used to say, "Every life has seasons, child, and each one is a gift, even the cold ones." Back then I didn't understand. I thought life was supposed to move in a straight line, forward, fast, always rising. But now I see it differently. Life isn't a line, it's a circle. Ever-changing, ever-teaching, endlessly turning like the hands of a clock. When I look back, I can see each season of my life like pages in a well-loved book, stained with laughter, tears and memories that still hum softly in the background of my mind. Each season had its rhythm, its lessons, and its light. And though some were brighter than others, none were wasted. Every moment, even the quiet, aching ones, helped shape the woman I became. Spring was my beginning. I was all hope then, soft edges, open heart, dreams painted in colors too bright for the world to hold. I believed in forever, in endless summers, in love that never faded, and friends who would always stay. I thought the world was waiting just for me to arrive, bursting with promise and possibility. Those early years were filled with plans that reached beyond the horizon. I planted seeds everywhere, in friendships, in passions, in wild ideas about who I might become. I thought every seed would bloom, that every effort would bear fruit if I just believed hard enough. It was the kind of innocence that only youth can carry, heavy with dreams, untouched by time. But spring doesn't last forever. The air warms, the days stretch long, and before you know it, summer arrives, full of noise, motion, and responsibility. Those were the years that moved fastest for me. The years of raising children, building a home, and working harder than I thought possible. There were mornings that began before sunrise, and nights that ended long after the house had fallen silent. The days blurred together, school lunches, late bills, laughter over dinner, the sound of little feet running through the hallway. I was always in motion, trying to be everything for everyone. And yet, looking back now, I see the beauty in that chaos. Those were the years my heart learned endurance. The exhaustion, the worry, the joy, they all wove themselves into the fabric of my strength. Every small act of love became sunlight, stored deep in my soul, waiting for colder days. I remember the laughter around the table, the birthday candles glowing, the sound of rain on the roof as the children fell asleep. Those were ordinary moments that didn't feel extraordinary at the time, but they were. I just didn't know it then. Summer was my proving ground. It tested me, stretched me, and taught me what real love costs. It showed me that happiness isn't loud. Sometimes it's just the quiet satisfaction of knowing you did your best, even when no one was watching. And then, almost without noticing, summer gave way to autumn. The children grew up. The house grew quieter. My reflection changed, not suddenly, but slowly, like the way leaves turn color before falling. Autumn was the season of letting go. I learned to loosen my grip on what once defined me. My children didn't need my hands as much anymore. They needed my prayers. The phone rang less often. The rooms that were once full of noise became filled with memory. There's a certain beauty in that kind of quiet, a grace that comes only with age, gentle, patient, knowing. I started to understand that life wasn't about holding on to every leaf, but learning to watch them fall without fear. In autumn, I began to see the art of surrender, to realize that change doesn't always mean loss. Sometimes it's a sign of growth. The tree doesn't mourn its leaves. It trusts that spring will come again. My mother's words echoed louder during those years. Even the cold seasons are gifts, she used to say, and for the first time I began to believe her. Autumn taught me grace, the quiet kind, the kind that smiles even when the mirror reflects a different face, the kind that finds joy in simplicity, a walk through falling leaves, a letter from an old friend, a sunset that lingers just a little longer. It was during autumn that I learned to love the woman I had become, not the one I was chasing, but the one I already was, the one who had lived, loved, failed, and forgiven. And then, inevitably, winter came. The air cooled, the pace slowed, and the world around me softened into silence. Winter has its own kind of beauty, subtle, still, honest. It doesn't ask for attention. It just exists, peacefully, like an old friend who knows when to sit quietly beside you. My mornings now begin slower. I take my time with the tea, letting the warmth settle into my hands. Sometimes the joints ache, sometimes the silence feels wide, but it's not empty. It's full of memories, of echoes that still hum through the walls of my home. I've learned that peace isn't about having everything in order. It's about being okay with what remains. The unfinished stories, the unanswered questions, they're all part of the same song. Sometimes I sit by the window and watch the old maple tree in my yard. It's been there for decades, surviving every storm, every season. Even bare, it stands tall, its branches still reaching for the light. I look at that tree and see myself. No longer blooming the way I once did, but still alive, still grounded, still stretching towards something beyond sight. There's wisdom in stillness, a kind of knowing that doesn't need to prove itself. I've stopped chasing purpose in the way I used to. These days I find meaning in simply being. I've come to understand that enough isn't a small word, it's everything. Enough laughter, enough love, enough time to sit and say, I made it this far and that's something. Winter whispers softly, you've done enough. And I believe it, because this season isn't about doing anymore. It's about being. It's about cherishing the quiet rhythm of the days, the way the sunlight spills across the floor, the sound of a clock ticking in the next room, the gentle hum of life continuing, even in its calmest form. Sometimes a neighbor stops by. Sometimes a letter arrives. Sometimes it's just me and the wind outside. And somehow, that feels like company enough. I think about the seasons often now, how each one has left its mark. Spring gave me dreams, summer gave me strength, autumn taught me grace, and winter gave me peace. There was a time I feared growing old, as if it meant fading away. But now I know it means deepening, like roots finding richer soil, like light learning to shine through softer skies. Every wrinkle on my hand carries a story, every gray strand of hair a memory. These are not signs of loss. They are proof of a life fully lived. Sometimes I think about all the versions of myself I've been, the dreamer, the caretaker, the teacher, the wanderer. Each one still lives somewhere inside me, resting quietly like layers of time. And I smile because I realize no season ever truly leaves us. It lingers in the air, in the way we love, in the way we see the world. Life, I've learned, isn't about staying in one season forever. It's about learning to bloom again, differently, quietly, beautifully, no matter how many winters you've seen. So wherever you are in your own journey, whether it's spring's bright beginning or winter's peaceful calm, don't rush it. There's beauty here, even if it's hard to see right now. Keep your roots deep in love. Keep your heart open to change. Because the seasons will keep turning, and with every turn, life will whisper the same gentle truth. You are still growing, and that is enough.